But Michael Ryan is with us right now, the Altoona Curve manager, of course, the Indiana native, joining us on the line from Akron, where last night the Curve opened the season with a 5-0 victory. Michael, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. It's good to have you back with us here today. That's the way to start a season, isn't it?
I tell you, if we can pitch like that, pitch shutouts, I think we have a shot every night. So we shouldn't lose a game.
Yeah, and well, you did an all-name type of starter last night. James Marvel was a marvel last night for your ball club. That must have been pretty gratifying to see that arm.
It definitely was. I mean, the way that he was, keeping Akron off balance, he was getting ahead, he was staying ahead, and he was able to put them away late in counts. He struck out 9. As a whole, our pitching staff struck out 13, didn't walk anybody. So he set the tone for us with the 6 strong innings, and our bullpen was able to shut him down, and we were able to get a shutout. There's a whole combination of things that went well. We played pretty good defense behind them, kept our defenders engaged in the game because we were pumping strikes in there, and got some timely hits. So it was a really good performance and a great way to start the season.
That's the way you want to do it. Well, as a guy like Marvel, he's a prospect, of course. You've got some other guys in that pitching staff that they've thrown a few innings for the Pirates down throughout the system, haven't they?
They have. Our rotation's very good. It's we have a lot of guys returning that were in Altoona at the end of the year, and we had the right guy on the mound yesterday for opening night. It's a Duke University graduate who's very smart. The way that he prepares, he has an unbelievable gift of being able to prepare for a game, to read swings, to have a plan. He knows what pitch he's going to throw to every hitter before the game even starts. So those are the intangible things that you can't teach a pitcher, and it makes the stuff that much more better when you have a plan on what he's trying to do. And he leads by example and tries to get our other starters to prepare the same way, and it only helps.
One of the prospects that we note on the roster and in that pitching rotation is Gage Hintz. He's really intriguing. His whole story is really something else, isn't it?
It is. It's an amazing story. To have open heart surgery and to be pitching, this year is just shows you the type of individual that he is. He even went to winter ball this year, which was a surprise to come back in that short amount of time. And he's got an unbelievable two-seam fastball. It's very hard. We're working on the secondary pitches right now, and just to go through what he has and to be able to beat that, it's an amazing story, and we're excited to watch him every day.
Yeah, my goodness. All right, so when we have talked with you in the past about the Altoona Curve, of course, this is your 3rd season at the helm of the Curve, and generally they've been guys that you have managed before down in Bradenton before you moved up. You've been loaded these last few years with number 1 draft choices and guys coming over from trades who were number 1 draft choices in other organizations. This year's roster is different, isn't it? You've got a bunch of guys that you've not managed these fellows before, so you have to learn them just as we do.
Exactly. In the previous 2 years, we've had multiple top 20 prospects that were going to be starting in Altoona. At one point last year, we had 13 of the 20. So this spring training was a little bit different. It was a group that I've never, I've had maybe 5 or 6 out of the group that I've managed before. The last 2 years, I've, managed basically the whole club where we've moved up together. So this is a whole new group. So it took all the spring training for us to get accustomed to each other. And that's what it's going to be like the first month of the season. We're just going to try to plug guys into different spots and see how much success they can have. But it's a different dynamic coming into this season than we've had before. But, I'm always getting asked, what type of team is this? What type of team is this? There's not very many prospects on this team, but, it's my type of team, to be honest with you. It's a bunch of guys that are going to work hard and are going to show up every night, and they're very competitive. So if we can take what we did last night and move that forward and ride that momentum, then I think we'll have a successful season. These guys just want to play and they want to get better. So it's exciting right now.
You know, you get into the minor league managerial duties that you've been involved in here these last few years as a member of the Pirates administration. The first half of the season and the second half of the season, they have completely different characters because once that trade deadline comes along, people get promoted, people get traded out of the system and traded into the system. And there's a lot of times, well, the team that you start the season with is by no means maybe even close to the team that you're going to finish the season with. You got a whole bunch of other guys that are going to be wearing that Altoona Curve jersey this year. And that has to be kind of an interesting way to approach a season too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, the only thing that you can really do is, you can just concentrate on who's there at the moment and take it day by day. Last year in Altoona, we had 59 transactions, 59 different players coming up from Bradenton or being re-signed from other places. We sent, 15 or 16 to AAA. So it's almost a revolving door each week. For instance, we had 2 injuries last night where we're getting 2 new players from Bradenton. So there's 2 moves right there.
Yeah.
The Major League team put Dickerson on the disabled list. Jason Martin's probably going to go to the big leagues, and now we're waiting to hear, what outfielder we need to send to AAA. So it's a constant revolving door. I think that's the reason why throughout the whole organization we have to teach the same thing. So when a player does come from single A to double A, then they're very comfortable. It's the same terminology, the same things that we're teaching at each level to where they don't have to worry about that. They just have to worry about the competition of the league that might be a little bit better. So you never go into a season with the same 25 guys. It's never happened since I've been managing, and I don't think it's ever happened on any minor league team. So that's just part of the business.
One of those fellas that got hurt last night was Jared Oliva. He's a pretty good center field prospect, isn't he?
Yeah, very good. He's 6'3", can run. He's very strong. Takes great routes in center field. He's a typical, he's a big leadoff guy. He's a leadoff hitter because he can run, he can bunt, he can hit and run. He got some power. He's got the full package. He got into a nasty collision last night with a ball in the left field gap, so he's going to be out for a while, but we'll see what we can do. But he's a very intriguing guy. I think he's the type of player that our whole roster consists of, to where if they can improve each day, then I think that they can become prospects and put their name in that prospect list. And he's definitely one of those guys that have the ability to do that.
Let's use him as a case here. Jared Oliva, you see the tools and you get to visit with him and see him playing for you. Do you get sort of like a folder? Let's just use that term, a folder on each of these guys and say, okay, this is what we know this guy has and what he's done. This is what he needs to work on. You do that for each of the players within the system because everybody has their different stages of development. Yeah, absolutely. We have the whole organization for each player. We have what's called a player blueprint. And then we have a site that we can get on that we can look up a player and we can see every drill that he's ever done. Each season that he's had, what he's improved on, what he needs to improve on. Little notes from other coaches that have had him and what they've tried to do to have them improve on things. And, we just try to add to that. Each level that they go up, we try to add to that a little bit more and, teach them, not saying different tricks or anything, but different ways to play at each level that they need to get better at. And, that's how we prepare them for the major leagues. But, you have a player plan coming in with each individual player on how we're going to try to improve them. And, there's a lot of work that gets put in before these games start. I mean, we're starting on the field around noon each day and trying to get each individual's player plan into that day. So it's a lot of hard work that gets into each player, but that's our job. Is we got to try to get them ready for the big leagues, and that's the way we do it. You got to be the mad scientist. It's kind of cool. I think it sounds like fun. Let's talk about the season itself. We only have a few minutes left with Michael Ryan, the manager of the Altoona Curve today. It's a new format this year, isn't it, in the Eastern League?
Yeah, it's just like the single A format where they're going to separate the season into 2 halves. You'll have a first half champion and then a second half champion, and then those 4 teams of each division will play in the playoffs. So it's a little different format. I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest with you, but we'll see how it goes. There's been 2 times where I was in single A where we've had 2 teams in a division. One was with the Minnesota Twins single A team, and then the other was with the Philadelphia Phillies single A team. They both finished 1 game out of each half.
Mm-hmm.
So they ended up having the best record in the division overall, but because they didn't win either half, they didn't get into the playoffs. So you had 2 teams with the best overall record in the league that didn't get to the playoffs. And, sometimes, you don't want to cheat any players. And, you had a great year. You had the best record in the division, but you get to go home. So that's where it gets challenging, I think. But, it also, can revive the players a little bit and give them something to shoot for. If you don't have a successful first half, then, it's almost you start over and try to grind your way through the second half and still have an opportunity.
There you go. Hey, home season opens next week. I think it's next Thursday at Altoona. As the Curve finally comes home, play some baseball. Going to have Steve Blass there for opening night. It's going to be a pretty exciting atmosphere, isn't it?
Should be. I mean, hopefully the weather cooperates, and anytime Steve Blass is in town that we can celebrate his career, I think it's going to be a special night. Opening night, whether it's last night on the road or your home opener, it's always a special day, and it's been really good the last 2 years in Altoona, and we'll try to carry on that tradition and try to pack in the stadium.
Michael, you've been very, very generous with your time here this morning. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Everybody come up to Altoona and see the Curve play next week, and we'll watch them all season long. Have a great day today.
You too. I appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
There's Michael Ryan with us here this morning on Indiana in the Morning, the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160 and 101.1 FM.